The story begins with a legendary killer named Jason. Jason is a killer so deadly that killing him wasn't just difficult, it was impossible. After immense effort, the government finally managed to capture him and locked him in a high-security research lab. Jason was the kind of murderer who would come back to life even after being killed multiple times. So, the scientists decided that permanently killing him was impossible, but they could freeze him using machines to stop him temporarily. In the lab, one of the guards was constantly terrified of Jason's eyes staring at him. When he couldn't bear Jason's gaze any longer, he picked up a cloth and threw it over Jason's face. At that time, Dr. Rowan was arguing with her boss. Rowan wanted Jason to be frozen, but her boss had decided to send Jason to another lab to study his regenerative abilities and make money off the research. Rowan warned that this was extremely dangerous. If Jason got the chance, he would kill again. But her boss refused to listen. A little later, a scientist and a group of soldiers entered the room. When they removed the cloth from Jason's face, they were shocked to see the dead body of the guard lying there. Jason had vanished. The next moment, Jason emerged from hiding and launched a brutal attack. He began killing everyone mercilessly. The soldiers fired at him, but their bullets had no effect. Jason grabbed chains and other weapons and continued his slaughter. When the lead scientist tried to escape, Jason picked up a tool and killed him too. Rowan was outside the lab at that moment when suddenly a soldier's body fell in front of her. She screamed, and just then, Jason appeared behind her. Rowan grabbed the soldier's gun and ran out of the lab. She set a trap to catch Jason. As Jason stepped inside, she kicked some furniture, causing him to fall into a pit. She immediately locked the pit and activated the freezing mechanism. Jason began to freeze, but just before he was completely frozen, he stabbed his weapon through the door, impaling Rowan. This incident caused a structural breach in the lab, and the freezing liquid began to leak. As a result, Rowan also ended up frozen. Almost 400 years later, the world had changed drastically. Earth was no longer habitable, the air had become poisonous. So humanity had built a new home, Earth 2. One day, Dr. Lowe arrived on Earth with his team of college students. They explored the lab and reached the chamber where Jason was frozen. They were shocked to see both Jason and Rowan preserved. It didn't look like they were dead. It seemed like someone had peacefully frozen them to preserve them forever. The team brought both bodies onto their spaceship. While lifting Jason, his weapon fell, and it severed Azrael's hand. But they had an advanced android named KM4 who immediately injected Azrael with something to control the pain. Amidst a storm, the team made it back to the ship, which then took off. In space, Azrael was placed into a healing machine that used nanotechnology to reattach his hand. Rowan and Jason were kept in separate labs. After scanning their bodies, the team was stunned. Jason's brain was small, yet he was incredibly dangerous. Rowan's wounds were also healed using nanotech. Meanwhile, Adrian was attempting to extract samples from Jason's brain. After completely healing, Rowan regained consciousness and, in a panic, slapped Lowe. He explained everything, that they were now in the future. Lowe sent the details of Rowan and Jason to Solaris Research Station, hoping he might earn some money from it. There was no interest in Rowan. People in this era could revive a 400-year-old human easily. But Jason remained infamous even in the future. Lowe decided to profit from Jason. Back in the lab, Adrian removed Jason's mask and was horrified by his grotesque face. She quickly put the mask back on and resumed her studies. Behind her, Jason's body began to move slightly. On the other hand, Tsunaru was modifying the android KM4, trying to give her a lifelike chest, but it was extremely difficult. Suddenly, Jason fully awakened aboard the ship. When Adrian turned around, Jason had vanished. He appeared behind her, grabbed her face, and flung her across the room. Adrian called out for help to Wanton from behind the glass, but no one could save her. Jason grabbed her hair, dunked her head into liquid nitrogen, freezing it, and then smashed it on the counter, shattering it into pieces. Jason then grabbed his weapon from the operating table and went hunting for his next victim. Lowe gave food to Rowan, pretending not to know anything about Jason. Rowan revealed the full truth, that Jason couldn't be killed. Lowe introduced Rowan to the rest of the students. Rowan was impressed by KM4. Just then, Waylon brought in Jason's weapon, and Rowan immediately panicked. She asked if Jason was aboard the ship. Lowe reassured her that Jason was dead and there was nothing to worry about. Rowan replied that she wouldn't believe it without proof. When everyone went to Lab 2, they found Adrienne's dead body. Chief Brodsky immediately declared an emergency lockdown and told everyone to hide in Lab 1. Meanwhile, two students who were in love tried to leave their room. But as soon as they opened the door, Jason appeared and, without any warning, killed the boy. The girl, named Kinza, was splashed with his blood and screamed. Jason started dragging the boy's dead body, and Kinza used the opportunity to escape. She ran to the others, screaming about what had happened. Brodsky was enraged and ordered his soldiers to shoot Jason on sight. Lowe didn't like this approach and requested Brodsky to only sedate Jason, not kill him. Lowe even offered him money to convince him. Outwardly, Brodsky agreed, but secretly he gave the same kill order to his team. A soldier named Delis entered a dark room where he was suddenly attacked by a large monster. He managed to shoot and kill it. Then another monster appeared, but this time Delis wasn't so lucky. Just in time, Azrael shot the monster dead. It turned out the two of them were practicing in a virtual reality video game. That's why they hadn't heard Brodsky's emergency announcement. As they were about to face a third monster, the real Jason appeared and killed the monster before they could. Jason then attacked them. He grabbed his weapon and beheaded Delis. But Jason was confused upon hearing Delis and Azrael still speaking despite their severed heads. Delis said, "Game over," and the simulation ended. They realized it was the real Jason. Jason caught Azrael. Delis shot at Jason, but the bullets had no effect. Azrael jumped on Jason from behind, but Jason caught him easily and broke his spine, killing him. Then Jason smashed Delis' head against the wall so hard that his skull exploded. A little later, two soldiers entered the room and found their bodies. They immediately reported it to Brodsky, who grew even more tense. Meanwhile, Engineer Crutch was working with his headphones on, completely unaware. In the mirror, he saw Jason approaching him from behind. Before he could react, Brodsky and his soldiers arrived and shouted for Crutch to duck. They fired a barrage of bullets at Jason, destroying the room, but Jason survived. When the smoke cleared, Jason's body was gone. Crutch rushed to Lab 1. The soldiers split into two teams to hunt for Jason, assuming he must be badly wounded. But this was their biggest mistake. Jason silently crept up behind a soldier and snapped his neck. Then he attacked another soldier with his weapon. They fought hand to hand, and the soldier landed a few punches. But Jason lifted him and threw him onto a sharp machinery part, which pierced through his body, killing him instantly. When the soldiers saw their comrades' dead bodies and reported to Brodsky, he gave orders to continue the mission. Then Jason launched another surprise attack from behind and slit the throat of yet another soldier. Before dying, the soldier fell into the arms of one of his teammates, begging for help, but he died in his friend's arms. Without wasting time, the teammate fired at Jason, pushing him back into a hanging hook. The soldier activated the hook, suspending Jason in the air and shouted over the radio, "Target down." But Jason jumped off the hook and sliced the soldier in half with his weapon. Brodsky was searching for his soldiers when he saw one hanging from the hook. He realized he was the only one left. But Brodsky wasn't someone who gave up easily. He moved forward quietly. Just then, Jason reached out from inside a wall and pulled Brodsky in. Taking his chance, Jason slammed Brodsky against the wall and stabbed him with a knife. Brodsky said, "That won't do anything." So Jason stabbed him again, this time to finish the job. In Lab 1, everyone realized they had no protection left. Lowe contacted the pilot and told him to increase the speed so they could reach Solaris Port quickly. The ship's speed was increased, but Jason was already behind the pilot. He killed him too, leaving the ship without control. It crashed straight into Solaris Port, destroying many buildings, causing massive explosions and damaging the entire system. The ship kept tearing through structures and eventually flew past Solaris. Lowe thought of regaining control of the ship, but when he looked out the window, he saw that Solaris Port had been completely destroyed. The students were terrified. Lowe assured them that another rescue ship would come because he had activated the emergency protocol. Suddenly, someone knocked loudly on the door. Everyone screamed in fear, but the knocking suddenly stopped. Confused, they wondered who it could be. Then Jason suddenly broke through the glass and entered. The entire group ran away and hid in another room. KM4 locked the room behind them, but Lowe had stayed back. He tried to talk to Jason, offering him money, fame, and everything he wanted. Jason silently picked up his old weapon and killed Lowe without saying a word. Meanwhile, the group of students decided they had to reach the shuttle. Rowan, Janessa, and Kinza would prepare the shuttle, while Crutch and Waylander would go to the bridge to ready it for launch. In the cockpit, they found the pilot's dead body, moved it aside, and activated the control panel. KM4 and Tsunaro collected some necessary tools in case repairs were needed. On the way, Rowan found a soldier's body and quickly picked up his gun. Then she saw another body that still looked alive. She told Janessa and Kinza to go to the shuttle while she checked. The body belonged to Chief Brodsky. Carefully navigating around the spikes, Rowan reached Brodsky. He was still alive but had little time left. Still, he said, "I'll be back." Rowan returned to the shuttle and informed the others they had to help Brodsky. They contacted Janessa and Crutch to confirm shuttle readiness. Waylander joined Rowan, and they returned to where Brodsky was, but his body was missing. Just then, Crutch was horrified to see Jason holding the pilot's head. He immediately warned everyone over the radio, but Jason grabbed him and threw him into the power panel, electrocuting him to death. Hearing this, Kinza panicked and locked the shuttle door. Rowan, Waylander, and Janessa tried to calm her down, but without any warning, Kinza launched the shuttle. Due to her haste, the shuttle collided with the ship and exploded, killing Kinza. Now the remaining three were figuring out their next move when Jason cornered them. But Tsunaro arrived just in time and introduced an upgraded version of KM4, fully battle-ready with heavy modifications. Jason immediately threw his weapon at her, and KM4 screamed in pain and fell, but it was just an act. KM4 got up and started firing bullets at Jason, pushing him back. She used martial arts combos, jumping and shooting at him. But Jason punched her down. As he was about to kill her, Brodsky attacked from behind. KM4 resumed shooting and severed Jason's arm, sending him crashing into Lab 1. She then blew off his head and jammed his own weapon into his body, finally bringing him down. Everyone thought Jason was dead at last. They took Brodsky for treatment. He was 80% healed when the ship suddenly began to shake. Waylander calculated that the ship's motherboard was heavily damaged. Just then, they received a signal from another incoming rescue ship. It would arrive in 45 minutes. But their ship was going to explode in 30. Rowan looked at the map and identified a section of the ship that hadn't been damaged. It could be separated from the main ship. They made a plan to go there. But back in Lab 1, the healing machine revived Jason, turning him into Super Jason, a full metal version. They planted bombs in the hallways to separate the damaged section from the rest. The task was completed, but as they were leaving, Super Jason blocked their path. KM4 fired at him, but the bullets had no effect. When she tried to punch him, Jason instantly decapitated her. Sonaro picked up KM4's head while Rowan provided cover. But now Jason began choking Rowan. Waylander attacked Jason, giving the others time to escape. Everyone got to the safe area, and Waylander activated the bombs, blowing up half the ship and launching Jason into space. Waylander died in the blast. The rescue ship was now nearby, but then Jason broke through a wall and tried to enter. Due to pressure differences, everything started getting sucked into space. Everyone held on to something to survive, but the grill Janessa was holding came loose, and she was lost in space. Rowan tried to grab her hand, but couldn't reach her in time. Rowan, Brodsky, Sonaro, and KM4's head went into a secure room. From the window, they saw Jason trying to break back in. They all ran to the docking port where the rescue ship had arrived, but the gate wouldn't open. Sonaro tried to fix it, but failed. Brodsky said he would go out and fix the wiring himself. There was no other option. He suited up and went out through the maintenance hatch and began repairing the control panel. Meanwhile, Jason caused chaos again inside. To buy some time, Sonaro connected KM4's head to a computer and activated a video game simulation. He recreated Jason's old village from Earth. Jason was confused by this. Soon Sonaro realized Jason could see them, so he added 2 girls into the program who began trying to seduce Jason. Jason grabbed them in sleeping bags and used one to beat the other to death. Just then, Brodsky completed the wiring and opened the gate. But another explosion from the wires shut the simulation down, and Jason resumed his pursuit. Rowan and Sonaro boarded the rescue ship, but KM4's head was left behind. Rowan went back for it, with Jason right behind her. Just in time, Brodsky arrived and closed the gate. The rescue ship couldn't wait any longer and took off. Meanwhile, another explosion happened on the other side of the ship. The shockwave from the blast sent Jason flying toward Rowan and Sonaro, but it also sent Brodsky that way. Brodsky grabbed Jason, and both of them plunged into Earth 2's atmosphere. The heat was so intense that both were burned to ashes. Finally, Rowan, Sonaro, and KM4's head breathed a sigh of relief. Holding on to each other, they said it was all finally over. Meanwhile, on this new planet, a couple saw a falling star in the sky and decided to check near the lake, thinking it had landed there. That falling star was actually Jason's head, possibly still alive. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.